My dear friend, E.S. Eversett, has lived in isolation and poverty for a great deal of his life. He has faced adversity within the system from the time he was a boy, and yet he continues to write beautiful and powerful poetry. He's given me permission to share his poem, Prophetic Poetizes of the Apocalyptic. Still peace in the still darkness. Troubled clouds gather above the deep. A face is weeping. Sorrow mirrors the water. In the quiet moonlight, nothing moves. Beneath the stillness, the abyss stirs in madness. Intelligence has abandoned mankind and thereby returned chaos in its place. Thou shalt pass through the valley of confusion. Thou shalt weep. From the blackness arises a monster, a behemoth from the deep. Before the orbs, he lives to slay the children of light. Appease the beast before the day turns night. In foolish error, the sons of men thought themselves safe. The hour is late. Let the eagle take flight. Can you hear the legions approaching? Can you feel the rage of what gathers? Images of tragedy flash before the mind. Anticipations of doom. I lay quietly in the cool garden. The purple crickets usher in the night. Within the dimension of silence, one can think. Then comes madness. Then comes death. The pigeons gather in a row before the parishioners. Now is the time of decay. Now is the last fight of noble life before all is sunk in barbarity. Those with words teach those without. Stop this madness. War is unintelligent. Man fights man in stupidity of himself. Before the mountain, many children fall, and only their mothers remember their names. When planets collide in distant space, so kings when they clash on earth, so shall spring come again, so fall, so winter. Even thus doth life refuse to extinguish itself. Behold the story amidst great tragedy. The two lovers should meet when all is lost, only intensifies the love that doth embrace. Amid corruption and violence, one kiss is still true. Behold his beloved in the grip of sorrow. That intimacy might live in the face of despair. I am the whisperer. I am the poor man. I am the philosopher. See now the vast beauty of distant hills. Do you hear the shepherd calling? Do you hear the melancholy tune of his solitary flute? Thunder rumbles in the distance. Rain scatters over the green earth. This poem explores themes of impending conflict and chaos in the world. It paints a vivid picture of a world descending into turmoil, where intelligence has abandoned humanity, leading to chaos and confusion. The imagery of monsters, legions, and tragic events highlights the sense of doom and the struggle between light and darkness. Amidst this chaos, there are moments of reflection and beauty, such as the quiet garden and the shepherd's call, suggesting that even in dark times there are glimpses of hope and love. The poem ultimately conveys a message about the cynical nature of life and the persistence of hope and love even in the face of great adversity. The poem is cynical in nature, and it explores chaos and order in human history. It reflects on humanity's descent into turmoil due to the abandonment of intelligence, the collapse of society into irrationalism, leading to a return of chaos and conflict. The imagery of monsters and legions symbolizes the internal and external battles faced by humanity. But amidst the chaos, the poem offers moments of introspection and beauty, such as the quiet garden and the shepherd's call. These moments suggest that even in the darkest times, there is hope and the potential for redemption. The mysterious ending with the haunting flute sounds before a storm evokes a pastoral yet eerie atmosphere, highlighting the contrast between the serene and the impending turmoil. This beautiful imagery underscores the poem's message that amidst conflict and decay, there are still glimpses of beauty and moments of profound reflection. I want to draw your attention to two subtleties in the poem. Can you hear the legions approaching? Can you feel the rage of what gathers? Images of tragedy flash before the mind, anticipations of doom. Here, the poet is contemplating a prophetic future of conflict between nations, of war, of collapse. But what's interesting, he says, I lay quietly in the cool garden. The purple crickets usher in the night. This is reflective of the poet putting forth something before its time, putting forth ideas before their time. That's why this poem has the title in it of being prophetic. It's anticipating these approaching legions, the rage of what gathers, of war and the clash of nations and the collapse of social and economic systems. I lay quietly in the cool garden. The purple crickets usher in the night. This is a beautiful scene, a scene of laying in the garden in a warm summer evening with the sound of crickets. It's peace. The peace is contrasted with the legions that are approaching. And the mysterious ending of this poem. See now the vast beauty of distant hills. Do you hear the shepherd calling? Do you hear the melancholy tune of his solitary flute? Thunder rumbles in the distance. Rain scatters over the green earth. This suggests that it paints a pastoral picture of rolling hills and the haunting sound of flutes in the distance. But while this says thunder rumbles in the distance, rain scatters over the green earth, the idea of approaching storm is the idea of the coming collision, the coming collapse, the coming apocalyptic. And the beauty of the atmosphere of this reminds me of the Symphony Fantastique by Hector Berlioz. In one of the movements, he has two shepherds calling back and forth to each other. And this imagery very much reminds me of that movement from that symphony. There are distant hills, rolling hills, and the grass is green. The rain scatters over the green earth. There's a green panorama in a pastoral atmosphere with the haunting sound of flutes echoing through this space as the dark rain clouds of the storm approaches.